please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for coming and those watching. We have a busy slate here. We have public hearings and we will start with that. Mr. Lee.
All right, first we can go ahead and go on the record as our court reporter attending, Trish, remotely, I guess. Okay. Kim, hello out there. The first two items on the agenda are public hearings for a rezoning and conditional use permit for Aaron Detweiler and Alexandria Lane Detweiler. And it's my understanding that they contacted the city today and they have a health emergency, they said, or a health reason why they couldn't attend the meeting tonight. And so they asked us to pass this, and so we'll go ahead then and have this hearing at the Board of Alderman meeting, which will be November the 14th. So if anybody is here for either one of the Detweiler hearings, we would ask you to go ahead and come back to this room at 7 o'clock on November the 14th, and we will have those then. Is that okay with you, Mayor?
That is fine.
So then we can go ahead and go off the record then on the Detweiler matters. And then next, we can go on the record for the Schaefer matter. And so we'll go ahead and call that hearing to order here at 7:03 p.m. Here on October 24th, 2022 at Hermann City Hall. And this hearing is conducted to consider a request by Jenna Schaefer to continue a conditional use permit for an owner unoccupied guest house at 202 West 6th Street in the R1 Single Family Residential District. And this matter was reviewed by Planning and Zoning. And they have minutes here where it indicates that a motion was made and seconded and passed to go ahead and grant this request and allow her to continue this use. 15 days notice of the time and place of this hearing was published in the paper. When the hearing's been concluded, the board should provide a decision within at least 15 days. According to city ordinance, before agreeing to reissue this conditional use permit, the board should consider the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and welfare of the citizens, ensure that the use and enjoyment of neighboring properties will not be injured, that there are adequate utilities, roads, drainage, and other facilities, that the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding properties, that it will not cause traffic congestion, and that requirements for public services such as police and fire protection will not be in excess of the individual demands of adjacent land uses. The conditional use permit can be granted for such a period of time as the board finds to be in the public interest. The applicant will have the opportunity to present her case. If she has witnesses whom she desires to speak, this will be allowed. And if she is represented by an attorney whom she wishes to speak, this also will be allowed. Of course, the board may ask questions, and persons interested here in the room may ask questions. And the board can ask for other testimony from others present in the room, those in favor, perhaps, or those who are against granting this application. And then the board can deliberate and vote, and whether the application is approved or denied is carried by a vote of the majority of the board members. And as part of the record tonight, we have Exhibit 1, which is the conditional use permit application. Exhibit 2, the checklist from the Planning and Zoning Commission of items to consider for conditional uses. Exhibit 3 is the affidavit of publication from the newspaper. Exhibit 4 is the notice of public hearing that was in the newspaper. Exhibit 5 is a copy of a portion of our zoning map with the property indicated. Exhibit 6 is an aerial photo with city lots and lot numbers superimposed on it. Exhibit 7 is a list of the people who were sent actual notice of the hearing along with their addresses. Exhibit 8 is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes from October 5, 2022. And Exhibit 9 is the entire municipal code of the city. Mayor Cox, do you agree to accept all of those exhibits into the record?
Yes, sir.
And so is Ms. Schaefer here this evening?
Mr. Schaefer.
Mr. Schaefer, sorry. Okay. Anything that they want to present?
You need to present anything, sir?
No, I think it's all been.
Everything there?
presented.
Anybody here have any questions?
One comment I have on the application, it asks for time period. Normally with conditional use, I think we only go 1 year to 2 years, where they have down forever.
Shouldn't it be one because it was a one-year cut before?
I don't think we've ever had it forever.
No.
No, that's why I
And
just
on the
noticed.
application, it really didn't clarify that. Jen just wrote that on there.
The previous owners had begun, I
Well,
think,
actually, it's the same family that's involved. Anyway, the ones that we have now, most of them are 1 year, right?
Yes, they're 1 year.
I think we will keep it at that. It's just basically once a year you have to
Yeah.
apply again. And if there's no issues, we pretty well approve almost all of them. So, any other questions?
that's all I had, sir. I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Anybody in the public have any comments?
Oh, sorry.
Nope.
No comment? Now I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
So we can go ahead and go off the record on that matter. And then next on the agenda, go back on the record in this separate matter, which is a request to rezone property from Samuel Voss. And so this hearing is called to order at approximately 7:10 p.m. this October 24th, 2022. To consider a request to rezone property owned by Samuel Voss consisting of lots 78, 80, 82, and 84, and the east part of lot 86 at 500 West 9th Street, currently zoned R1 Single Family Residential, the request being to rezone it to I2 Industrial. The city's Planning and Zoning Commission considered the application and upon motion made, seconded, and passed, voted to deny this request. This hearing is on the record and a transcript is being prepared, and the property owner and others among the public, both for and against, are invited to speak if they like. And we have exhibits for this hearing. Exhibit 1, the application for zoning change submitted by Mr. Voss. Exhibit 2, the affidavit of publication from the newspaper. Exhibit 3, a copy of the notice of public hearing from the newspaper. Exhibit 4, meeting minutes from the October 5, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The minutes indicate that there was a motion made and passed to recommend rejection of this request to this Board of Aldermen. And then exhibit number 5 is a list of property owners within 185 feet who were sent actual notice. And exhibit 6 is a color copy of an aerial photo with lots and lot numbers superimposed on it. And exhibit 7 is a copy of the part of the zoning district map indicating the location of this property. And exhibit 8 would be the entire code of ordinances of the city of Hermann, Missouri. Mayor Cox, do you agree to accept these exhibits into the record?
Yes, sir.
And is Mr. Voss here?
Yes, sir.
If you'd like to say something, feel free.
Yeah.
We'd like to rezone the building to industrial, which it was since it was built. It was shut down for a while, and we have a guy that wants to start a welding business in there, and it has correct power requirements and the size of what he wants to do. Not anticipating a lot of employees, but a few when it gets going, if we're allowed to do this. It's an industrial building. Unfortunately, there's a neighborhood around it, and we're not going to have any impact, we don't think, on any of the neighbors as far as vehicles and anything in the way or anything like that.
Anybody have any questions for Sam?
Were you made aware whenever you purchased it that it
Yes.
was no longer going to be industrial, that it would go back to residential?
I was aware that it was zoned R1.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? We open it up to the public. All right, Sam, thank you. We'll let other people. Please state your name also when you get up there for the,
My name is Judy Helmer. I've been a lifetime resident of this area for about 30-some years. Sold real estate in the area for 30-some years. I just wanted to tell you that a quick thing that I've learned and something I would like, may not have an opportunity to come before the alderman again, but in relation to the zoning issue, I wanted to tell you that something that has happened to me that I think that I need to share with this community. About 20-some years ago, there was a application to put a commercial hazardous waste incinerator upriver from Hermann. And I was gifted with a gentleman that was a NASA scientist that had just retired, walked in my office and wanted to buy a farm. And I told him that we had what he was looking for, but it was at the little town of Chamois. So he did tell me that he'd like to see the farm. He bought the farm. But then we proceeded in research for 4 years. And it took us 4 years, I'm proud to say, but we did stop the application for a commercial hazardous waste incinerator. And I want to just quickly tell you, there's only been one of those that I'm aware of that was in Missouri. And that was at the little town of Bunker. Danny Staples, which was a senator at the time, told the people that it was dangerous and would pollute the rivers and everything and don't do it. But they did it anyway. So less than 2 months, the incinerator was shut down by the southern courts, and they stated that the behavior of the Department of Natural Resources on this particular issue was contrary to the common sense. And the cars in the parking lots had all the paint taken off. Children were getting sick and going to the hospital. So that's the end of that story, but what I'm telling you is 4 long years that I fought and researched. But anything that comes to our community, we must do the research and to be sure what we're going to do for our community. Because once it happens, it's too late. And I'm very proud of what we did, and Dan Seebacher was the scientist that fought with me for 4 years, and he has now deceased. And I'm kind of in honor of him here tonight because of all of his help and assistance that we did. But I did want to share with you in relation to this issue that, again, this is our community. We've went through all the turmoil of doing the zoning. But now we want to just rip it apart and say we don't have, we're going to make this exception, we're going to make that exception. I can't imagine that it would be a good choice to put something in an R1 residential district that would be industrial 1 and 2. And that's my biggest concern. And anything that I've ever done here, I've done for the community. And I will tell you one last statement. I have put together a book on my 4+ years of hard work. And my son has it, Steve Granneman, maybe some of you know him. I'm sure that he would be happy to let any of you look at it anytime you want. But it has a lot of facts in there and what we've been through over the years. But it was a lifetime experience for me. I'm very proud of it. but I'm more proud of this town. And I feel like I've done my part. Every day I go down to the riverfront to walk and just look at the beauty that's down there and the thought that could have been destroyed. Even the Department of Natural Resources told us their greatest fear was they would set the river on fire. So things happen, unforeseen things happen. So I trust that the alderman will make the right decision on this. And I want to thank you for giving me the time to just express my feelings.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else out there with comments on Sam Voss?
My name is Steve Samoji, and I live in the immediate neighborhood where Mr. Voss wants to come in. I just want to state that I, as a person in that immediate neighborhood, I don't have a problem so much with what Mr. Voss wants to do. I have a problem with rezoning an R1 to I2. Because once you make that I2, and I'm under the impression once it's I2, it's I2, Mr. Voss could sell his property in another couple, 3 years and open up that area to a lot of other businesses that I don't think would be nearly as benign as what Mr. Voss wants to do. That I don't have a problem with him. I have a problem with changing it to I2. Because if you look at what can be done under the I2 industrial district, you're looking at meat and poultry processing, sandblasting, sawmilling, stone and monument works. That's all my only objection to the change.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. Dan Engman. I just live across the street there at 519 West 9th Street. And again, I appreciate y'all taking time to hear this issue. Appreciate the work of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Appreciate Ash in helping me get information about what was going on across the street. I said with the demolition permit, certainly I've known Sam a long time. It's nothing personal. I think he's a fine individual. But they were in there working, midnight on Sunday night and really odd hours. Like, what the heck is going on in that building? Couldn't get any information, so I had to call Ash, and he helped me with that. So thank you. Again, nothing personal. I just think that this doesn't belong in a residential area. It might have worked in the 50s, 60s, whenever that building was built, but it's 2022, and I don't think it's really the best location. Would invite any of you to drive past the building, drive up, West 9th Street where we live, and part of the roof is caving in, and to me the building's in really disrepair, and I know Sam told the Planning and Zoning Commission he's prepared to spend some money on it. I think that would be a pretty costly endeavor, but that's would be his decision to do. Sam had commented at Planning and Zoning too that that we knew those buildings were there when we bought. That is true, but we were also told, hey, Home Incorporated's kind of on its last leg. It'll be shutting down soon. Remember, two big exhaust fans that faced 9th Street, and we constantly had welding dust and soot in our house. So certainly don't need that back again. Concur with the comments that Steve made. If it's not this, you do this rezoning, you could have just about anything in there. So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but again, appreciate your consideration. Would ask that you would vote no on this application. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to make comments? Any discussion on the board here? Do I have a motion to approve or disapprove?
I move to not approve the permit to change from R2 or R1 to I2.
I have a motion on the floor to deny. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Mr. Police?
All right, yes, so that will conclude the record on that.
Okay. Thank you all for attending. That continues that. Okay, we'll move on to Mayor's report, very brief. Don't forget that Saturday is going to be the big trash day, and that Halloween is next Tuesday. The businesses have their Halloween candy giveaway from 3 to 6, so be on the alert for kids in the day along with the evening hours. And don't forget, this coming weekend is still Oktoberfest, so anyway.
So is the trash pickup the first Saturday of
November.
November 5th.
Isn't that this coming weekend?
Uh-uh.
Erase that! I blew that, didn't I?
It's all a blur.
We were just making sure we were paying attention.
Halloween's
Okay.
Tuesday.
Sorry, 2 weeks, big trash day.
Halloween's Monday.
That's why I make the big bucks. Anyway, moving on, well, city administrator will surely be better than I was.
In addition to the big, we don't take tires on our big pickup, our big trash pickup day, but MRPC is holding their version of that, and they will take tires from residences and farms for a small fee. So if you need your tires, that's happening in Bell on November 12th. The airport, the project is going rather smoothly, except they've hit just a couple small little snags last week, Friday. A phone line was buried that they weren't aware of, and a sewer line that's not as deep as it should be. So they will be change order coming before you for that. It is covered under the grant, so we will only be responsible for 10% of that. Street project update is that Schiller and East 8th is almost completed. The contractors need to finish up doing the driveways, and then that will wrap up our large street projects for the year, and then we will start again in the spring. I did receive a cell tower lease agreement, a proposed agreement, which I'll be reviewing and getting to you maybe as soon as the next meeting. Again, on our US Cellular Tower up by the cemetery. And Corey got liquor licenses out last week as well, and they are due back in the office December 5th and will be approved by the board on the December 12th meeting. And I have a form to pass out to all of you before you leave tonight in regard to payroll direct deposit. So we've been working on that for the employees, and First State Community Bank has been really great to work with, and the previous obstacles that we had have been resolved, and Tammy Ellis and Katie have been working with the programmer and conducting some testing, and we hope to have that live January 15th, and I'll need you to fill out forms to participate. Yeah, and lastly, there is a reception in this room Friday morning at 9 a.m. It is for, it's a small reception for the delegates from our sister city in Bad Arolsen, Germany. And it's kind of a meet and greet. Their mayor will be here, and our mayor and their mayor will both say a few words, and it'll be only take about 30 minutes. So you are invited to that. It'd be great if you could participate. Just another announcement would be the leaf pickup is again every Tuesday and Thursday through December 1st in bags at the curb by 7 a.m.
And when is that big trash day?
Got that.
All right. We'll move on. Next, Mr. Powell, Destination Services, on the hotel feasibility study.
Mr. Powell, did you want to present from back here off of this PowerPoint?
Can I, oh, yeah, I have
Because
to
I
go
was
from
going to
back
move the
there?
TV over here so that everybody can see it.
Can I do it, I can't do it from here, right?
Do you have an HDMI cable on that? I don't think it's thick enough for one.
No, I just do it from back there, that's fine.
Yeah, I was going to bring you up a chair here.
Or the podium.
I say we have a chair. We could set a chair here. You gentlemen don't mind.
You can have my hand.
Well, I got this one right here.
I don't think I've ever gotten a sit at the big table.
All right.
Where do you want that? What do you move out of the way?
Yeah, that'd be all right.
What is the magic password?
Make it slow. Dot, 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 dot. Maybe that's the same password I use.
Okay,
Does that work for you?
yeah, so which,
This is the one that's controlling everything. It's
all right, how do I move the slides forward?
Let me just click down here. Ready, you just click right there.
Click
It'll
where?
start from the beginning.
Right here?
on top there, where it says from the beginning.
Oh, okay, we'll give this a try. Thank you very much. Sorry for the delay here. My name is Steve Hall. I am the CEO of Destination Services, and we came to Hermann at the request of Tammy to put a proposal together to do a hotel feasibility study. So my partner, Sean Skelly, who's actually out of Wisconsin, and I came and visited Hermann with Tammy for about a full day. All right, now I gotta go back here. Oh, it doesn't matter. So anyway, my background is 30 some odd years in the hospitality industry. Primarily worked 20 years in St. Charles, building that destination, and on to Peoria, Illinois. Sean Skelly's been in the business for about 14, 15 years, doing a whole variety of hotel feasibility studies and lodging assessments, and then also securing developers for particular hotel properties. Destination Services, you can see this list here, this kind of things that we do. So we work, we have basically helped about 150, 200 destinations on a whole variety of projects, including hotel feasibility studies. So what we did for this study is we began by just essentially touring Hermann and taking a look at everything that you guys have to offer and assessing the accessibility to a variety of different sites around town. We spent close to about 8 to 10 hours here going through the entire city. We have, the second thing that we did is we had looked at regional demand generators and where they are positioned in the marketplace. We assessed or evaluated support amenities, services, facility amenities, and design enhancements. Basically taking a look at what kind of things would support a new hotel. Then we took a look at the operating conditions of the market for existing lodging facilities. And we looked at both those facilities within the city of Hermann as well as approximately 35, 40 miles outside of Hermann. And we did a comparison of the competitive hotel characteristics. What was it that, who are you going to compete with if you build a new hotel? And looked at the next thing we did was took a look at the lodging demand within the subject market and the property market at share. How much of different kinds of business, how much group business are you getting, how much leisure business are you getting, what are you able to accommodate with your existing hotel capacity. And then we investigated we established a competitive set. What hotels do you compete directly with? Because there are hotels within the 40-mile range that you don't really compete with, but there are 3 or 4 or 5 hotels that would be direct competitors. Took a look at those. And then finally, we looked at what it would cost to build a new hotel with the parameters that we've identified that would best meet your demand and best serve the community. And we ran a pro forma on that. How would they operate? When would they become stable? What does it look like in terms of a good business plan? So what did we find out? We found out Hermann is an excellent leisure destination. Of course, you all knew that, given that it's Oktoberfest for sure. But it's an excellent leisure destination. We found that you're very heavy on traffic on the weekends, and a little bit lighter during the week. And then of course there's seasonality Once you get past, you know, a little bit into December and in January, February, they kind of drop off there. We did find, and I don't think this is a big surprise, but the demand for overnight lodging frequently, and I mean very frequently, exceeds the available room capacity. So you might say, well, so what? Well, what that means is that money that you spend to attract people here to Hermann, Oktoberfest, for example, all the work you do to attract people here for that event, only a percentage of those can stay here because you don't have enough lodging for them. So what do? They either go home or they go to other hotels that are outside your taxing jurisdiction and stay there. So wherever they stay, if it's Fulton, Fulton gets that economic impact, not Hermann, even though Hermann put the event together and drove the marketing for that event or what have you. And this occurs on a regular basis here. And it's very obvious. With a correctly designed hotel with meeting facilities, you'll be able to not only capture the existing overflow that's happening right now, but you'll also be able during the week to generate additional market share within the meeting and the conference business. So right now, I mean, I'm aware from the time that I've been doing this study, there's been about three different types, three businesses that have approached Tammy to come in, and we can't accommodate them because we don't have the space. We don't have a place for them to have the conference. So again, even though you've established this wonderful destination, and you've established yourself as someone, as a place that can accommodate people from an amenity perspective, from restaurants, from catering, from entertainment facilities, you can't capture that business because there's no place for them to be. The good news is that your lodging occupancy, especially as we get past COVID, is on par with the national average. It is, I didn't look at it here before I came to the meeting, but more than likely you are now exceeding that. The leisure market, for those who are in the hotel business, it's just gone crazy. It's amazing. And so you are on par with the national average. Your daily rate is on par with the national average, and your current RevPAR, this should be RevPAR rather than ADR, is on par with the national average. So what does all that mean? That means right now today, the lodging properties that you have in Hermann are at least level with what is occurring nationally. It actually is a little better than national, but you're on average you're on par with that. So if a new hotel comes in and starts attracting new customers and taking care of your overflow, you will see that rate more than likely increase here, which is good news. So we already talked about it being heavy on weekends. There's a need for weekday business, and that weekday business typically comes in the form of meetings and small conferences. We competitively looked at, within a 30-mile radius, there's 23 aging limited service properties with a total of 928 rooms within this 30-mile radius. The good news is most of those are average about 29 years old. They're 29 years. And so, typically a hotel ages out around 20, 25 years and needs major renovation work to stay competitive. You have 15 facilities in the economy segment. That's 54% of the market. You have 3 properties with 17% of the room inventory in the mid-scale market. 2 properties, or 15%, in the upper mid-scale segment, and 1 property in the upscale segment, and only, which is 1% of the market share. You have 0 properties that are considered the upper luxury market. So what that says is that you essentially have a lot of limited service, limited amenity properties in the market, and those folks are are servicing those people who are interested in lower scale type of properties, lodging. Either that or they can't get someplace to stay, so they have to stay there. Bottom line is, a new lodging property is highly feasible if it follows the parameters that we've laid out. Approximately 65 rooms, an upper mid-class hotel with exceptional amenities branded to the city of Hermann's persona. What I mean by that, you don't want to plop a Comfort Inn Suites, typical Comfort Inn Suites property on the edge or the middle of your historic district and have to stick out like a sore thumb. You want to have a property that blends with what you are currently offering within the city. It needs to have easy access to downtown. That could be, on the edge of town or close to downtown, but it needs to have easy access. And then the other thing that will need to occur, if we get into the meeting and small conferences, we'll need to increase the marketing budget in order to attract that business here or make sure we get that business considering Hermann as a place to have their conference and meeting. So, construction costs. We used an average rate multiplier formula as one scenario. Looking at the construction cost for 65 rooms, it came out to approximately $8,970,000. So it's $8.9 million in value. In a scenario that we employ the national industries construction metrics at a rate, stabilized rate of $138 in today's dollars. By stabilized, we mean they're at a point where they've been able to establish themselves as being in the marketplace and attracting business. That's typically is in usually the 3rd to 5th year of operations. And then the construction estimate using the national industry construction standards for 65-room hotels, approximately $150,000 to $170,000 per key, meaning per key means per room, for a total of $10.5 to $11.5 million in total costs. So your range will be somewhere between 8.9 and 11.5 for a 65-room hotel, upper mid-scale. Oh man, how do you go back to that? Is there a reverse key?
Is that back at the beginning?
Yeah. Oh well.
There we go. Use these keys here. These keys.
Okay, so I wanted to look at performance. We did take a look at the performance. So we believe that upon stabilization, that again, that would be the 3rd to 5th year of operations, would surpass the occupancy at about 70%, at or near 70%. Currently, most hotels, most lodging properties in this market are doing somewhere around 65%. At approximately the average daily rate at approximately $138. Now, why that is important is that your competitive set is charging $110 to $115. So this is $20 more than what your competitors are doing. But we believe that it's going to be easily achievable at 70% at $138. We think in the projections and our performer projections indicate that at the 4th year of operation, that would be 2026, a stabilized business, the facility would generate an estimated revenues of $2.8 million, $2,843,000. And that includes room revenue, miscellaneous income, food and beverage revenues for the facility. So that doesn't account that's before taxes type of thing. So these parameters are what a developer will look at and say, can I build, can I make this work? And we believe from our experience that it absolutely would work, and that there would be quite a bit of interest from developers, really not just in Missouri, but that would have an interest in this, pursuing this hotel property. And then the final thing I wanted to say, which is not on this PowerPoint, we're going to jump out here and say that the demand looks so good that we believe there's a need for 2 hotels, not just one. One on the edge of town and one in the middle of town. We think that there's so much interest in folks staying in Hermann that even with one hotel, we'll still be pushing some people out to places like Fulton to spend the night. And that's it. So we would just recommend that as the city begin the process of pursuing a hotel developer as soon as possible, before the interest rate goes up anymore.
For sure. Does anybody have any questions? Ash, Jim?
No.
Thorough. Thank you.
No surprises?
We're all good?
We figured there wouldn't be any
Do you have anything?
surprises.
More?
No, thank you. It's just exciting to have somebody validate what we know, what Tammy's done for a long time, and yes, we're
Yeah.
hopeful to get.
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm excited.
Me too.
Thank you for your time and your presentation.
If you have questions, I know did we hand out the synopsis?
Yes. Yes.
There's a synopsis, so once you read through that, if there are questions, I give you my card, just give me a ring, and I'll be able to answer those for you. So, thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Okay, we will move on, excuse me, to ordinances.
Right, for the first ordinance for this evening, for second reading, bill number 2022-50, an ordinance to revise Schedule A of Title 3 Traffic Code, handicapped parking.
Any questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve. No, it's
Approve.
yours, go ahead.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We'll move on to resolution.
Resolution, so the first for this evening would be a resolution to approve and adopt revised standard operating procedures for Hermann Communications.
And Vera?
Vera is here, does anybody have any questions for Vera?
Let her, go ahead and do it.
Or you want to make a presentation to us?
No, I do not.
Well, we would like you to.
Dispatchers are meant to be heard. They are not meant to be seen. That is the reason why no one sees us. They only hear us. We talk loud. Yeah. So,
But can you go page by page with what I have, please?
no, I cannot. So I believe you have a version that was highlighted as to what we changed in the manual, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, as you know, we changed what protocols we were using. We moved from using priority dispatch over to using power phone protocols. In doing that, there were some changes that we had to make in our standard operating procedures. Before, it mainly dealt with how we were to use the protocols within specifically medical dispatching. With the power phone dispatching, we changed the SOPs to show that it would be used not only in medical, but also in fire and law enforcement. So that's basically the changes that we made to it. It's been a while since I wrote them, so.
So does anybody have any questions?
It's a lot of work, thank you.
You're welcome.
If there's no questions, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Move to approve resolution 1325.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Thank you. Okay, another resolution, sorry.
Next is a resolution to approve the city's participation in the Federal Land and Water Conservation Fund program.
So as you know, this is, we are applying for a grant for the park ball field lighting system. And this resolution just says that we are guaranteeing that we are going to pay our 50% and that we have that money available.
Okay.
We do.
May I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve resolution number 1326.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. I did have a couple speaker cards here, but I skipped over them because they all left after the loss thing, by the way, just so you're aware. They're not present anymore. Okay, we'll move on to old business. Anyone have old business? Any new business?
When's the big trash day?
I'm not sure. Check the signal. The first weekend in November. Yeah, well, it's been a long day. Okay, we'll move on to motions. And a motion to approve the last meeting's minutes, please.
I move to approve the minutes.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We'll move, pay the invoices for payment.
I'll move that we pay the bills.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Utility, ratify Ameren utility relocation agreement with amendment.
So we approved this original agreement at our last meeting, but shortly after we approved it, they sent back a couple amendments they would like to the agreement, and they're very minor. If you'll notice on number 5, they just added some language there about the change orders, which they just added a couple sentences. Doesn't really change how we're doing it. It's more detailed. And then the very last item, number 19, about the final invoice submittal. They were fairly inconsequential changes, so I did sign that, give it back to them so that we could keep the project moving, and just need a motion to ratify those changes.
Everybody clear on that? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Conditional use permit renewal for Armenius Holdings LLC doing business Hermann 1837 liquor sales for outdoor consumption. Steve Lomer's here if anybody has any questions. No questions?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Motion's been made and second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Approve the bid from Annexer for stock items for the electric department.
So this is the issue that Jesse emailed you a couple times about. Just because of the slow process it's taking due to the supply chain to get things, he doesn't want our inventory to get too low, and so you can have all the specifics here on the back page of the things that he wants to order.
Right. Any other questions?
I appreciate his work going and taking from all of these lower rates. Good deal.
Being a little proactive, that's a good thing. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Special event application, Preservation Foundation, Erupt 22 event with music and concessions, Rotunda JC Pavilion, November 19th, 2022. Any questions on that one? Yeah. Application in front of you? If not, do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay, we need to go into closed session.
I move that we go into closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters relating to hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting employees pursuant to section 610.0221 of the statutes of Missouri.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We have to do a roll call.
Yes.
Well, that's right, we gotta do a roll call. It's so long.
It's been a long while.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, sorry about that. Okay, we will now go into closed meeting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.